Hey y'all, Lance English, the Coaching Cavalier, coming to you from the deluxe basement of the Domicile of Doom. I realize I missed last week's video. Bothers me quite a bit. As far as I'm concerned, consistency is the key to accountability, and that's really something that I'm working on. I was also genuinely hoping to take this in a little bit more scenic view, just because it's beautiful sunny skies out there. It's gorgeous. But instead, you get half of a map and half of our laundry room. But it's nice and quiet, there's no traffic noises, there's decent lighting, and of course you have my glorious and shining company while I make some adjustments. We did actually make some progress, so we do have a tripod now. Woo! Complete with a little remote start and stopper thing, so you won't see me doing that whole thumb thing over here, which is huge plus, massive win. So part of the big reason that I did want to make sure to jump back on this is, as noted, consistency. This week is a unique challenge because I actually have something going pretty much every day as I'm transitioning into a new career. Went ahead, set up the business Facebook page, been attending some additional programs, plan to be working on some weekend presentations and group programs, trying to draw people in as much as I can. Mostly due to the fact that I am a very firm believer that most people are already pretty much where they need to be. They just need a little casual steering here and there, which should be fairly straightforward. When I talked about doing this last week, I did mention that I wanted to kind of bring people up to speed to where I am now and why I am doing what I am doing. I'll try and break that down into a reasonable vitamin pill. So after breaking my wrist and getting out of construction after about 10 years, I transitioned into cruise sales. So it was great. It was lucrative. It was vaguely entertaining, but it genuinely polished a lot of my communication, customer service skills, and things along those lines. During this time, I was also very active with the Pirates, so presentation skills, again, boom. Toastmasters, presentation skills, again, boom. Progress, clarity, accessible language, appropriate pauses, and considerably fewer ahs, ums, lip smacks, and things along those lines. Along the way, though, I was spending a lot of my time being very focused on being the primary breadwinner, which can be a challenge, especially when you're also doing things like Pirates, Toastmasters, etc. About 4 years ago, things got really challenging. We had a big challenge in the family. I realize I shouldn't scratch there while I'm on video, but screw you, it itches. I don't mean that. Heavens. And it got bad enough that I actually had to walk away from my job. I couldn't do it anymore. It was affecting my anxiety. It was constant conflict. It was zero support from above. So from a corporate management perspective, it was dreadful. I had no idea what I was going to do, but the idea occurred to me to be a coach or a consultant or something along those lines. That was when I had come up with my original concept for a little knowledge coaching and consulting, because with a little knowledge, we can be a dangerous thing. And that worked well enough. I basically kicked my heels all around town for a good 6 months or so, while I did everything from leading cannabis tours to doing high school event overnights, basically paying high school seniors $100 to eat live Brazilian hissing cockroaches, which is every bit as entertaining as it sounds. But it also ended up boiling down to about a minimum wage job, which a gentleman past 45, it's better than managing a KFC, but not by much. And the hours are worse. Was almost a bus driver. Funny story, I'll get to that at one point. Until a friend of mine proceeded to introduce me to another job which they thought would do really well for me. Again, keep in mind, the kids are now finally I had put my wife through college. She was now established. I had put my eldest through college of sorts, and they were transitioning into different things. And my youngest had began working into college. So he was just after his first year, I believe. So, and it was great. We would have been able to survive for about 6 months, which was about as long as I was on the dole, and joined into a new company. And it was great at the start. It had a lot of energy. It had a lot of positivity, had a lot of perks, and some really great people, including some of my absolute best friends who I have met through that job, and still a lot of people that I keep hold of. But as time progressed, it also kind of went downhill. There was a tremendous amount of conflict generated. It was outbound dialing. It was talking to people about billing. And people don't like to talk about billing, especially when they're at fault. And eventually it got to the point where, just like with any company, as it grows, it goes through that growth spurt where they don't quite keep the same small company energy and move too quickly into the large company over managing, which that's fine. I expect it. But what ended up happening, though, was COVID. And COVID brought its own pressures. Both the kids were living at home for a while. I was the only person not leaving the house. I was working from home, and I was working from home due to, the COVID restrictions and everything else. And it seemed like a whole lot of the other folks in the house weren't necessarily doing the same, and I was having to lock them out of the dining room and everything while I did stuff. So, and it got heavier, and it got a little bit worse. The kids eventually moved out, but the job was becoming more oppressive. Anxiety that I had picked up when I was captain of the Pirates was getting worse and worse, as with depression. For anyone who doesn't know, I actually have and occasionally still do struggle with suicidal ideation. It would surprise a lot of people considering how peppy I tend to be, but it happens. It's the nature of life. It's the nature of mental health. So after a misguided road trip involved my totally not my car hitting a deer in Montana and a unexpected 3-day layover in Lewistown, conveniently enough, 100 miles away from any possible rental car, but only about 100 feet away from 3 separate bars on the single one street. Again, these things happen. Came back, and at that point, it was just a circumstance of I could no longer function at the job that I was doing. At this point, I had helped put everyone through college. We had managed to maintain our house for about 8 years. We had refinanced to the point where the only real bills were the mortgage and student loan payments for the youngest. And the opportunity presented itself to actually finally branch out into this thing that I want to do, this leadership thing, this coaching thing. I was already part of an active coaching class, which was going on at the time, about every 2 weeks, about 12 hours every 2 weeks. I met a great cohort of people and learned a tremendous amount because gosh knows, even though certification isn't required in Washington State, I would be damned if I wasn't going to have at least some kind of educational backing if I'm going to try and direct people in their lives. And so I encountered a great school. I met some great people, and I have since carried on into greater things. And stepping away from that toxicity and having the support from the important people around me was a huge thing. Just an amazing, huge thing. And over the last, I apologize, I really shouldn't be saying and as much as I am. It's a habit. I'll work on it. You guys get to watch me grow as I do this. the circumstances of walking away from a toxic position, working with people who say that it's okay to have my energy level, that while it may drive some people away, it will attract the right people. The support that I've received from friends who all believe that this is my perfect niche. This is what I need to be doing, is taking the energy that I have supported people with and continue to support people with, and do so on a grander scale. So that's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing right now. My vision and my mission becomes clearer and clearer and clearer every time. And that vision is to help people step into their own awesomeness, to help reclaim their authorship of their own lives, to rise above the place that they're in right now into the place that they want to be. Is it a perfect fit? Am I going to be amazing at it? Who knows? Doesn't matter. I have support. I have enthusiasm. I'm working on it. And I have at least, last I checked, 12 people who are watching these videos every now and again. So I'm actually doing pretty well. I set up my business Facebook page. I've got like 100 people who paid attention. Progress. It's all progress, as long as it's going forward. So it was very important that I did this today because, as noted, consistency is key. I've made the mistake the last couple weeks and waited till the last possible minute to do these videos when I want to generate them and put them out on Wednesdays. I apologize for not putting one out last week. I've kind of doubled the time on this one so that you guys get all that you might have missed out on, plus a little bit of a story to go with it. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. One of the goals is creating thumbnails so this sort of thing is a lot more attainable. And if there's any particular topics or any particular questions that you might like to hear me just kind of go off on a tangent about, please let me know. You can email me at thecoachingcavalier@gmail.com or just put a comment in the thread. There's very few things I won't talk about. I'm not necessarily an expert at everything, but I can bluff really well for the most part. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to hopefully putting out additional relatively worthwhile content. Is that stopping? That's not stopping. I'm going to push the button. Alrighty.